Hello and welcome to 60 Minutes. My name is Sierra Peterson, and tonight we will be exploring in deep about Jean Piaget's theories in cognitive development. These include schemas, which are the building blocks of knowledge, the processes that enable a transition from one phase to another, and the actual phases themselves, which are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. We also were lucky enough to join our interviewed experts in a trip to a kindergarten class where we could test out Jean Piaget's theories firsthand. So we have some clips of that to show you just how that turned out. But before that, we have our correspondent Liam out in the field to give us some expert advice from experts who are experts in these subjects. Liam.
Oh, hello. Welcome to 60 Minutes. Before Jean Piaget, psychologists believed that children were merely less competent thinkers than adults. However, Piaget showed that young children think differently compared to adults. According to Piaget, children are born with a very basic mental structure on which all subsequent learning and knowledge is based. The goal of Piaget's cognitive theory is to explain the mechanisms and processes by which an infant, and eventually child, develops into an individual who can reason and think using hypotheses. To Piaget, cognitive development was a progressive reorganization of mental processes as a result of environmental experiences and biological maturation. But to do so, Piaget proposed that children required a basic building block of thinking. Piaget called this a schema, a set of linked mental representations of the world which individuals use to understand and to respond to situations. Tonight we will be exploring this cognitive theory in deep.
First, we interviewed Dr. Glasson, who is an expert in the sensory motor stage.
Dr. Glasson!
How's it going? Hey. You want to learn about sensory motors?
I sure do, man.
Alright, let me show you.
The sensory motor stage lasts from birth to 2 years of age. In this stage, children learn through the simple senses of touch, sight,
Liam, your shorts are riding up again.
and hearing.
Next, we interviewed Dr. Lefevre, who is an expert in the pre-operational stage. Let's take a look. Liam.
Dr. Lefevre, tell me more about the pre-operational stage.
Well, the pre-operational stage occurs roughly between the ages of 2 and 7. Language development is one of the hallmarks of this period.
Hey, sweetie, you want to say something on camera?
During this stage, children become more adept at using symbols and pretending and playing. For example, a child is able to use a broom and pretend that it's a horse. The end.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Lefevre.
Then we interviewed Dr. Hale, who is an expert in the concrete operational stage.
Dr. Hale, where are you?
Up here, Leo.
Ah, Dr. Hale, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So you're going to describe me the concrete stage?
Yes, I am. This stage takes place between the ages of 7 and 11. During this stage, one can think logically about concrete situations. Piaget considered this stage to be a major turning point in a child's cognitive development. A child can use logical thought, but only can apply this thought to physical objects. Children are, at this stage, less egocentric and can perform better at conservation tasks. This means that the child understands that although the appearance of something changes, the thing itself does not.
That's quite interesting.
Great.
That's quite interesting, Miss Hale.
Here, we set up this totally fake robbery near where Dr. Jessica was meeting our correspondent, Liam, to see just how she would react to these completely fake events. Dr. Jessica is an expert in the formal operational stage. Thus, we hoped she would tell us how she used her deductive reasoning in light of these staged events.
Dr. Jessica.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Now, you're an expert in the formal operational field of Piaget's cognitive theory. Now, can you describe to me what that is exactly?
Formal operation is a stage that begins during the age of 12 and lasts into adulthood. During this time, people develop the ability to think about abstract concepts, skills such as logical thought, deductive reasoning, systematic planning. Characteristics include ability to consider a range of possibilities, understands the concept of the possible, as in moral dilemmas, justice, understanding of self, vocational aspirations, and approach problems systematically, as in the ability to make a prediction, revise thinking given new evidence, and revise and improve a disconfirmed hypothesis.
An example of this would be similar to the task here, where we tell a story to the children with two stuffed animals, Sally and Sarah. Sally has an object and puts it into her box. Then she leaves. While she is gone, Sarah puts the object into her box. When Sally comes back, where will she look for the object?
Very interesting. Now, back there you saw the man lying underneath the car.
I did.
Now, what did you deduce from that? Show us an example of how you got there.
Well, I thought he was just lying on the floor, but apparently he was hurt.
And, how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I saw someone running away, and I assumed that he had something to do with the man because he looked really hurt.
So you put the pieces together.
I did put them together.
And this is an example of Piaget's logical reasoning.
Right, it is.
Very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.
Now, after all of this amazing information was given to us, we met up with our experts once again to see how they personally feel about Piaget's theories.
So, Dom, tell me what you thought about Piaget's ideas and their relevance to the real world.
I think they're pretty good. Seems like a pretty smart guy. Kind of the bee's knees, if you know what I mean.
Monique, tell us how Piaget's ideas play on your life.
Well, I could see that children at a young age have a hard time with conservation, as seen through some of the experiments that we did with the children. When we laid out the pennies, they thought that the row that was longer had more pennies, even though each row had the same, and their cognitive development had not been fully developed. So that is what I know.
Jessica, how are you?
Yeah, how are you?
Good, good. Now, I know you weren't there at the kindergarten class that day, but tell me how Piaget's cognitive theory of development has played out in your life.
Well, I have a little brother who is 5, and I recognize Piaget's stage through his speech development and also his pretending.
Very good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sarah and I, we had 2 kids. One was very rambunctious, might be bipolar later on in her life. Not sure though. My child, however, passed every single test and was never fooled by any of the changing object liquid size by pouring into other cups. And she had very well. Oh, hey Dom, how you doing? She progressed very well through all the stages, and she will be very smart according to the study. And she was also able to not eat the marshmallow, so she will be fruitful with her money later on and not blow it all.
So she's the exception. Got money to blow.
She is the exception. She passed every single test.
I haven't had much experience with children. I never went to the kindergarten class. But Piaget's ideas of cognitive development sound very logical to me, especially his idea of schemas, where a child builds knowledge upon knowledge as he goes through the years. It only seems logical to me. That's my opinion so far about my experience in this situation. That is all I can say at the moment. Stay flashy.
I personally believe that Jean Piaget's theories are very objective, as they do not reflect the student themselves, but rather just how a student did on a given task. As the tests have turned out to be pretty accurate when it comes to whether a student did well on a conservation task, if they did better on the SAT or not, sometimes that is proven correct, however, not always. Yeah, that's all for 60 minutes in our study on Jean Piaget. See you next time.